everyone. My name's Jen Ellis and welcome to your October recipes. I am excited to share these recipes with you this month and welcome you to the fall season. We have some exciting things happening today in the show, which you will see me cooking is prepping my carbs. So we're going to talk about the difference between light and dense carbs and how I prepare my carbs so that I am all set during the week. So we're going to start off today with our recipes for October. So our recipes for October are a beef bourguignon pot pie, grilled chicken with corn and lime basil butter, a miso butter salmon, a soup Gerumo, a Jamaican braised oxtails with carrots and chilies, pumpkin oatmeal pancakes, sheet pan baked eggs and veggies, egg white frittata with smoked salmon, a vegetable jalfrezi, which is an Italian vegetables and tofu, a dale bingen, which is an Indian eggplant, drunken shrimp, roast salmon with peas and radishes. Our shake for October is pumpkin pie. The sweet is Jen's apple turnovers. These are a quick, easy turnover I do. In fact, it happens to be my husband Patrick's favorite dessert that I make. And then our bonus is ratatouille. So because today is about carbs in October, I'm gonna do the ratatouille recipe for you today. And I'm also gonna show you how I prep other carbs. So let's jump right in. In front of us, you can see I have our deck of cards out here. I love this deck. It's been one of the most helpful things that I have. One of the things I love is I pulled out the carbs that I'm prepping today. So I can see, I know for myself that I do much better and I feel better if I stick to the lighter carbs and not as many dense. So my dense carbs, I'm using the sweet potatoes, which our card will show you. You can see it does not have the red heart. So this is letting me know straight from the very beginning that this is a dense carb. And it also tells me 1 medium. So I have my sweet potatoes out ready to go on my pan to roast. I have a spaghetti squash here. So this, you'll see, has the little red heart. This is a nice light carb, one of my very favorites because it is so versatile. Then a couple things that I always have on hand throughout the week that are easy for me to do at work and something I do every week. So we have green apples, which again is a light carb. It has our little heart there. Blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. And again, those are things that are very easy to prep as well as great carbs to add to anything that I'm eating throughout the week. Now, these other carbs that you will see here are all light carbs, and they're part of our ratatouille. So eggplant is part of the ratatouille, our cherry tomatoes, our bell peppers, our zucchini, and then assorted veggies I have out here because I use that for, I make a lot of mushroom melodies normally. So between the mushroom melody that I make as well as the ratatouille, that's what I mix in with my A's to make a really nice light frittata that's full of protein, fat, and carb. So let us get into our first bit of this carb prep. So again, I highly recommend our cards. I find it easy for me to go through them, find what I'm looking for. It also gives me great ideas on different carbs that I can add in different ways. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have a sheet pan over here that you may see kind of off to the side there. And that sheet pan just has a piece of parchment on it. So I'm going to take, I have 3 sweet potatoes. I'm going to take those here. And I'm just gonna grab a fork and poke some holes in them and have them be ready for our sheet pan. So I'm just gonna take this here, poke some holes. I like to poke a lot of holes just because it makes me feel good and it gives it a way to let those juices out. So I did not do a great job when I picked these out this morning. You can see they're a bit different in sizes. If you can, try to stick to similar sizes. It will make this process a lot easier when you're roasting these guys. So we're gonna set this aside and we're gonna move on to the spaghetti squash. I love spaghetti squash. It's one of my favorite vegetables to cook. It is extremely versatile and something I use a lot. I use it in place of pasta. I use it just as a nice, healthy, light carb on the side of many, many things. My proteins this week are smoked chicken breast and chicken thighs, as well as I have some organic grass-fed beef that I turned into some taco meat with some homemade taco seasoning. And then we have a roasted chicken that I have already pieced out and ready in the fridge. So my proteins are done for the week. Now I'm just working on these carbs and these vegetables. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take my knife and I am gonna cut into this guy. This can be kind of tricky. A lot of people do this different ways. One of my favorites is to get it going there and then take the tip and just let it slide through. Now once you get to a certain point, you can hear it kind of start to go, and then it gets real easy. But help if that knife was a little bit sharper. So as you can see, now I have this here. You'll see the inside here has some little bit of seeds. So I want to make sure I scoop those out. So I have found the easiest way to do that is just with an old-fashioned spoon. So I take a spoon, I just scoop these out. Now I'm gonna finish scooping these out over my trash can just because I find that easier and a lot less mess to clean up later. So we'll be back in just a second and I'll show you what these guys look like. I have a tablespoon here. I'm just gonna pour not quite a full tablespoon of olive oil in here. And then I'm gonna just drizzle. Then in here, I'm doing these real simply just because I want to keep them versatile so I can use them for so many different things. So you'll see I'm taking this olive oil, I'm just rubbing it around a bit, getting it all nice and covered. Now I'm taking just a simple sprinkling of kosher salt, fresh ground pepper. Those are all set along with my potatoes. Now the reason I'm roasting these together is because they should take similar times as far as cooking time. So I'm gonna take these, I put it cut side down. I'm putting it in a 400-degree oven and I am going to check this in about 45 minutes. I'm thinking it'll take just about an hour for these to roast, but I'm gonna give it 45 minutes, check it, see where we are, and how much time I think I still need. All right, and here you can see our spaghetti squash roasted to perfection. I'm super excited about this. It's one of my favorite carbs to have throughout the week. You can still see the steam coming off of it. So you can always wait a little bit till this cools down. I find that I'm always in a hurry just to move on to my next piece. So all I'm doing here is taking a fork and I'm taking it along our vegetable here. This side is going to be real easy because I have that little bit. But you see, if I mix that up there, I can use this. It looks almost like an angel hair pasta when it is cooked like this. And with just that simple preparation with the salt and pepper and olive oil, it will be super delicious and easy. Plus it is ready for whatever flavors I want to add. So when I talked about earlier, I have that roast chicken, but I also have that taco meat, which would be really good with this squash. So we're just gonna do that for the entire thing. You'll find that you'll know when you've gotten it all, though there's a little kind of crust there on the skin. That's when you know you've gotten all the bits out. So I'm gonna finish that other half here and get that in my container and into the fridge and ready for the week. All right, so let's work on these sweet potatoes. So there's a lot of ways that you can do sweet potatoes. A lot of times I just leave them like this and put them in the fridge and have them throughout the week. What I'm going to do today, especially because I have that roast chicken, and it just always is so delicious, so I'm going to do a mashed sweet potato. So the recipe for this I am actually not using, though it is in the recipe vault. It's one that I added a long time ago. So this is just taking my roast potatoes, sweet potatoes here. I let them cool down just enough so that I can peel them by hand. It's up to you how you do that. My fingers are kind of used to dealing with things like this, so it's just easier for me to do it this way. But peel them however you choose. So I just peel them this way. Now that this guy is peeled, I'm gonna kind of break him up as I put him into the bowl. In the bowl, I have an old-fashioned potato masher there. It's nice and good and hot there. I just broke him up a little bit. What I really like about this is it's a mashed potato that goes well with any of our roasted meats or the smoked chicken we did. It's delicious. It feels like an indulgence, but it's balanced and healthy and good for me. So what I'm using in this is, of course, this is my dense carb. And with that dense carb, I'm adding some tahini. Tahini is a sesame paste, so that is going to be my fat. Now I'll add a little bit of salt to this, and that is it. It will be creamy and delicious. This can easily be done with a mixer or a blender, however you like to do your regular mashed potatoes. I have this little hand masher here, and I actually really like it, especially when I'm only doing a few potatoes. It makes it much easier than getting everything else out and dirty. I'm going to start mashing that up a bit. Now there are all different kinds of tahini you can find. The tahini that I have fallen in love with and use in most things, in fact it's what I will use in a little bit for our hummus when I get that going, is from Sprouts. It is a roasted garlic tahini. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit in here, about a tablespoon worth. And I'm almost done with this container, so I know there's not more than a couple tablespoons in there at all. So you can see it didn't take much. It's loosened up quite a lot here. Now, if you like your mashed potatoes to be super creamy and nice and smooth, you could take this into a blender or a mixer and get this a lot smoother. The tahini is going to make this nice and creamy. It has a little bit of that roasted garlic flavor out of that tahini. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of salt. And that is all I need for this. And again, this is going to be my dense carb for the week. And I'm going to put this just into a container in the fridge. And it is all ready to go with some of my chicken. So we're going to work on the ratatouille. So I do roasted vegetables every week just because it's an easy way for me to have some good vegetables that I can add to all kinds of things. Normally I add them to eggs or that spaghetti squash. When that's done roasting, this will be really great to add to that. So we're going to start with these 3 garlic cloves, and I'm just cutting the ends off, and then I'm just smashing them. So they're going to roast nicely that way. Just a flat of my knife, and they just get nice and flat in there. I'm just taking the ends off because I find it's easier when I do that. You'll see that's nice and squished. So we're just going to put those over on our pan. To that, I'm adding 2 medium-sized onions. My onions are a little bit small, so I will probably add a little bit more. But what I do is I take it, I cut it in half. Now for these, we're just cutting rounds. So about a 1/4 inch. And I'm roasting the garlic and the onions together. So those are just going to go on this pan. You'll notice that the rest of these vegetables I'm going to be roasting each one separately. And that's just because Each one is going to roast at a different time, and I want to make sure that they're all cooked well but not overdone. So the best way to do that and the easiest way to do that is to have small pans with your vegetables separated out on them. So we're gonna have these 2 onions on this pan. We're gonna move after that to our zucchini, which will be on its own pan. Sweet peppers, which will be on their own pan. And eggplant. I do not cook with eggplant enough. It's a wonderful vegetable, a nice light carb. And it's, again, very versatile. Eggplant is, if it's done well, it's not slimy or bitter. All right, we're gonna move on to that zucchini now that those onions are finished. So I have 2 zucchini here. So the recipe calls for 3 zucchini. These are actually really large. So I'm just gonna do 2 of them. And these are just nicely sliced. So I washed them. I'm slicing them here about 1/4 inch rounds. And these are gonna go on a separate tray. I'm just gonna set those as I go. Nice and easy. So that is our zucchini, beautiful. So let us move on into this eggplant. I have not used eggplant in quite some time. It's not something Patrick really enjoys, so it's not something I cook very much. But being that this dish is actually something I'm going to use for things that I will eat and not Patrick primarily. I do make him a breakfast casserole, similar to the breakfast frittata I make for myself. However, he prefers some different vegetables than I do, so this will be a good combination for me. Now, for this, I have 2 medium eggplants, and I'm just going to cube this up. So I'm going to cube them so they're about 1 inch. That's about right. It's probably closer to 1/2 inch there. So we're just going to cube this up. Easy peasy, no big deal. So I'm gonna get that over here and we're gonna finish with this eggplant and then I will be right back. Now the last thing I am going to prep for this is going to be our peppers. So I am just de-seeding this guy here. And see how easy this is as I unroll and just take those seeds out. Now, I've taken those ends off, which I will use in a bit, but right now I am just going to take this because it's rolling on me. I'm going to cut it that way, but see, it's really easy now for me to just make some matchsticks. I'm making these about 1/4 inch or so. I'm just going to put these again on a separate pan. So as you see, most of what we do here is going to be this prep. The roasting itself, the primary roasting, does not take a lot of effort. It does take time in the oven, but other than that, not much effort there. And then we're going to come back, and this will be roasted a second time when we put everything together. So I am going to show you here, using the eggplant, how I'm going to season these. So for the eggplant, the peppers, and the zucchini, we are going to add 1 sprig of fresh rosemary, which I just went and cut, and 2 sprigs of thyme. All right, so as we get the thyme and the rosemary in there, which are going to give us an immense amount of flavor as these roast. Now we're going to use some salt. So I just take my kosher salt here. So to this, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, sometimes I don't use all 3 tablespoons. I just kind of see how it looks and how it feels. You may not need 3 tablespoons per tray. Again, it just really depends. Here it's looking like I'm just gonna do 2. I just do it by feel and see how that feels. I want there to be enough oil that it helps them roast, but I don't want them to be kind of sitting in it and soaking in it. And especially this aubergine or eggplant is going to soak up that oil, but it will release a lot of juices as it roasts. So I'm gonna finish that up and set that aside. So I'm going to do the same thing to each one of our trays. The only tray that I'm not adding the thyme and the rosemary to is our garlic and our onions. Those are gonna roast just themselves. So I'm gonna finish up adding the oil and the salt to the others, and I will be back in a moment. All right, everybody, and here is our finished ratatouille. All of those fantastic roasted vegetables ready for an added carb to any of my dishes this week. So have a great fall. Congratulations. I'm excited as we move into the holiday season. I look forward to November and December. Take care. Bye.